Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Three Man in Football. All right, lads.
Hi, Thomas. Simon, how are we?
All right, lads, how we doing?
All good. See, we got it right that time.
Third attempt. Third attempt's always good.
We should have like a bloopers reel.
You've started one.
We did release one about you this week. That Tony Adams shout was a cracker, though. We got some great feedback about that.
I went down to make my mum dad's before, and he was still laughing about it.
Oh, mate, it's brilliant.
I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. Even your son, Simon, said that you're picking on me too much.
Yeah, whatever. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, so tell us what you're wearing today, mate. I didn't put a football top on, but I know that you have. So what are you wearing there?
So I've gone for an LA Galaxy top. I like the MLS tops. I like LA Galaxy, New York Red Bulls, Orlando. So I thought I'd grace the podcast with a MLS top.
Nice, like it. And Thomas, what have you got on there? It's a yellow number. What's going on?
It's a Football League linesman jersey.
You couldn't see that badge, by the way, because you were too low.
Oh, was I? Oh, get it up there, right up in the
Oh,
air.
nice.
Oh, class.
As you know, one of our friends was a linesman in the Football League. I think he famously, Billy Birch. Well, when he heard I didn't have a football top and the amount of stick that you've been giving me, he decided to call up today and drop me off. Not only did he drop me off this fabulous kit that still stinks of deep heat and everything else, he hasn't worn it since the 80s. He's also given me these bad boys to sort you lads out.
Just for those people.
Now, what I'm going to say is, Darren, you deserve the yellow one, mate, because you're generally all right. But Simon, this one's for you.
Can I just talk about our Tops for Thomas programme that we're trying to get off the ground?
That's absolutely brilliant. Well, we did that last week, and Billy's thumbed up. Well in.
Yeah, brilliant.
Superb. Well done, Billy. I'm sure he's got a story, hasn't he, about the Football League, which we can't broadcast.
Yeah, but no, sure... we can let him tell those stories, but he can only do them on video, so we can cut them down a little bit. A man likes it all. I love that. All right, Tom, that's a good start to the podcast. And after last week, after you going after the referee in your wall of hate,
it's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's apt. Okay, everyone. So before we get going, we got a couple of things. So firstly, we've actually revamped the website. I know it's only been up for a couple of weeks, but we revamped it over the weekend and we've launched it again. Go and have a look. It's www.threemeninfootball.com. And you can watch the videos on there. You've got links to all the podcasts. And we're also putting blogs up there that we've been writing over the last couple of weeks. And we'll keep doing that. That's going really well. We've had some really good feedback. That's great. And then also you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, many other podcast platforms. And then also you can watch us on YouTube as well if you really want to see us make a fool of ourselves. And if you want to see Thomas's lovely referee's jersey, go and have a look.
To be fair, Simon, if we don't get extra followers just for this top Thomas has got, I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah, me too, mate. I agree. I think it brings out his eyes as well.
Do you know what I want, Simon? I want him to be in the full kit.
Be a full kit wanker. All right, so let's start off with some comments. So the first comment is, I'm not having that episode at all. All right, so he's talking about the ultimate midfielder and attacker. Not a chance. How can George Best not fit the criteria in multiple categories? Yet King Kenny is in there at least twice. You boys are having a real giraffe. And that was from Johnny Pollock. And Johnny was not happy at all because Bestie did not make it into every single category.
To be fair, Simon, I would agree with Johnny. I think you two let me down big time last week. And I'm hoping you sort yourselves out and have a little chat with yourselves.
But how could you have Georgie Best in over King Kenny? I mean, that's not going to happen, mate. Come on.
Yeah. Show your trophies.
Don't you start. I've got two here.
Billy Birch's comment was, he only played for 6 seasons. He can't be one of the greatest. And then he went on the ale. All right. So comment number 2 is, and I love this one, we were going after Thomas a little bit on Facebook. And Ray Darby came to his defense. His response was brilliant. He said, "I've got your back, pal, but please don't put me down as your second fan just yet." We don't want to get Dan jealous, do we?
No.
That was a good one.
Fan club's nearly growing. It's nearly growing.
Mate, he is defending you all the time.
And rightly so.
Yeah,
I'm the entertainment value on this.
I think he's been drinking.
Yeah, to be fair, Simon, I've noticed a lot of his comments are late at night.
Yeah.
So maybe he's got the Sol contract as well.
In broken English. All right, so the next one's a bit of a long one, but it was a good one. So again, talking about the one of the previous podcasts, it was the one with Stevie Stewart on. So getting a referee's perspective. So this one was brilliant episode with a referee's point of view. I'm so happy that the Thomas Morris Wall of Hate is back, over the moon. But I quite like Howard Webb. He was 99% right all the time. Genius comment. Personally, my favourite, if you can have a ref as a favourite, is Mike Dean, just for pure comedy value. His arm gestures and faces were brilliant. But let's be honest, none of us like any of the refs in the professional game, and none of us would want their jobs. And that was from Dean Bood. Spot on. But that doesn't mean we can't give them crap every week.
Yeah, I mean, I know Thomas has joined the refereeing fan club, so I'm sure he'll lay a bite back a few times this season once the Premier League gets underway.
I'm sure, mate. We start giving out yellows and red cards.
Hey, it just depends, mate. If it's against the Reds, no chance. Anyone else, I might defend them a little bit.
Yeah, I don't care about VAR. Okay.
Yeah.
So comment number 4. And this was from Matthew Bashu, and it was absolutely brilliant. Only came in today. So he's in Thailand, so he's ahead of us. So overnight, he built a team based around our ultimate team, which I thought was brilliant. And he did a great job. So it had all of the players, and it actually had King Kenny in, which was great. So he built this 3 men in a football ultimate team, and in their first game, they beat Liverpool 4-1.
Brilliant.
Great thing to do. And also the best thing about it was sponsored by Sol. One thing that I did spot was when you're looking at the stats for the players, Johnny Pollock will be happy because King Kenny only got a 6. So more fuel for the fire that we need to get Kenny out and get Bestie in.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
I'm not having it. But yeah, I thought that was brilliant. He did a great job with the kits and everything, and he had a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo. Looked great. We'll put it
Simon, I'm going to say, are we trying to put it on the website?
Yeah, we'll definitely get it up on the website because it looks great. Okay, and then a couple of shout-outs. The first one is for Ryan McMahon, a good mate of ours. He passed the podcast out to all of his mates, and we got some increased listeners yesterday, which was great. Neil Badrock, who's a new listener, I seen you were talking to him today on Facebook, Darren. And
you'll know Neil. Neil was a referee.
Yeah, good lad.
Yeah.
And Carl Gargan, because he was giving me crap during the week. He said, I've listened to loads of these episodes. I haven't been on one of them yet. Carl Gargan's a good lad. Probably the fastest centre forward I've ever seen in my life.
That's why he can't come on.
Yeah. Not allowed.
I'm still running after him now, 3 years later.
I had to mark him in a charity game last year, and it was just murder. I just stood like 4 yards off him every time because I
only 4.
I mean, he beat me a couple of times, but he was a great footballer, good lad, great for a night out as well. I love Gargo. And then there's a load of other lads that are around the old teams that are watching and listening, which is great as well. And we're getting some really good feedback. And then we said we'd start doing this Jobs for the Boys, where we promote one of our mates who's got a company who could help the listeners out. And one of the things that I always struggle with is finding a good plumber. So Adam Scragg, who is a long-time listener of the podcast, and we know his dad, Andy Scragg, who's refereed us over the years. I don't know what it is about referees.
There's a link here, Simon. Yeah. Something's gone wrong.
It's a seamless link, does. He's got a company called A-Star Plumbing, and their number is 07904 045 833. And they also have a Facebook page set up as well. Definitely worth going and visiting him. He's really good. He's actually, when he was off his feet, because he'd done his leg in, he had one of his mates come and do some work for me, and he was great. So I'd definitely go and have a chat with him. A-Star Plumbing, find him on Facebook, and that's Adam Scragg. All right, so yeah, we'll do that from now on. We'll do a link or a shout out for someone we know who has got a company that we want to promote. You know, we help people get to local resources that can help them with things like plumbing, electricians, whatever you want. Let us know if you want us to shout it out on the podcast. We're more than happy to do it. So today, Daz, we're talking about something that you're really passionate about. And we've got a guest on who is a friend of yours, and it's women's football. Now, this is a really interesting one because over the last maybe 10 to 15 years, it's grown in popularity. but there's been all sorts of ups and downs with the Women's League. You've coached football for years, and one of the things that you've been heavily into is coaching women's football. So why are you so passionate about it, and why is it important for us to talk about it?
Because I think it's growing. And for, as you say, last 10, 20 years, you know, I've been involved in different capacities, whether it's over in this country or in America, coaching. And I just feel we need to broaden what we just talked about, the men's game, but also over the next couple of weeks, we have got lots of different guests on who are talking about the diversity in football, which is really important. I think we've had success now in the women's game through the Women's Super League and through the National League, national team, which is fantastic. And now is a good time as any to really start looking at how we can move to the next step and the next level. And so we've got a guest on today who I used to coach. She was a really good player, played centre half, so I loved her even more. Very composed, football and brain, could pass, could head, could do everything you want as a football player. And she's going to come on and give us a little bit of history about how she got in the game, what she, how high she played. So it'd be great to have a chat with her. Hi, Claire.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Hello, Claire. How are you doing?
Hiya. Good. Thank you.
I'm Simon.
Hi, Claire. Thomas.
Hiya.
All right, Claire. So thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. So we've been talking about this for a while. You know Darren well, and you know that he's constantly talking about football. And one of the things he talks about more than anything else is women's football. Mainly because he knows more about it than anyone else we know. He's always got the answer. But now we've got someone on the call who knows a little bit more, Daz, which I appreciate. So Claire, you played football when you were younger, and I know we're some way down the line now. You don't look much more than 21, so maybe not that far down the line.
22 now.
Well, tell us a bit about how you started in football, because you know, for us, when we were growing up, football was really accessible for lads in Liverpool. Yeah. I played football all my life. I always had a ball under my arm. But in school, only the lads played football. The girls didn't play football. And I'm a bit...
For me, my journey probably started when my mum was pregnant with me. And my dad realised he wasn't having any more kids. Whether it was a girl or a boy, I was playing football. And I was going to be christened an Evertonian, like a life of pain. So... literally 1995, that's the only time I've seen us win anything. And so yeah, I was probably the same as you lot. I was just always at a football. There was a lot of lads where I live, so in the street I was just out playing football non-stop with them. Probably call me a bit of a tomboy. At school, again, I used to play with all the boys every break and lunch, but the same thing. I had this real sexist teacher, and he used to come up and take the balls off any girls that had football. He'd just take it off you and say, no, you don't play. Girls don't play football.
Wow.
And he was actually, he was the coach of the football team. So all the lads begged him, the parents begged him to put me in the team. And he just refused. And then I got picked for one game, and we were losing. And he was just so reluctant to put me on. He was ashamed anyway. We all turned up, and he had a girl with him. That was like absolutely mortifying for him. And then I come on 5 minutes ago, hit the crossbar, and he never picked me again.
Maybe you should have scored, Claire.
Creation, I know. I think if I was just scored, he would have topped himself. So yeah, and then I used to play on Camp Hill for Walton Boys. I used to train every Saturday morning. But again, it was I wasn't insured. They weren't insured to play me in any matches, so I used to just go train, and that was it. So
sorry, Claire, just stop you there. You weren't insured, so did you have to get a different insurance out for boys and girls?
I don't know. That was just what we were told.
That is bizarre.
Wow.
But that feels like a bit of an excuse, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We couldn't do mixed football. So that was pretty much like a sad little journey. And then when I was like, I think I was in year 6, we had Everton in the community coach, Ted Sutton, come to our school, and they must have requested a girl to part. Obviously, Everton in the community are really good, aren't they? So I took part with, I think it was 20 of us. And then he picked me as the winner of whatever the competition training he'd done. So I got to pick a friend, and we got to hold the FA Cup and have pictures to be in the Everton programme and everything. So that was really the start. And then he said to me, if there's ever a girls team, you must, go along. You must try out for it. And then literally a couple of months later, there was a team. My dad saw it in the Everton, like an Everton brochure, I think it was. It was Everton under 14. He was starting a team. I was only 11, so I was a bit apprehensive about going, but it was my life. So off I went, and that was the start of it, really.
Wow. And you never looked back, really, Claire, because you played right the way through Everton Girls, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you and then obviously I came in and spoiled the whole football for you. but just on that, I find it remarkable that not so long ago you were 14 or 11, and there was nothing for girls. There was nothing, and I find that unbelievable. But then what happened? I think in 1997 or something, the FA then were told by FIFA and UEFA they had to start a women's program, a girls program. And that's where Everton were one of the first to almost, as a professional club, pick that up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the trials, I remember going along thinking, there's not going to be many here, because I didn't know any other girl that plays around where I lived. And it was the Bill Shankly playing fields, and there was literally hundreds. I think it was over about 3 days. Hundreds went. And then they picked 14 of us, and we had to go like a training session, and then they picked 7 of us for a 5-a-side tournament that we started. So that was our first ever game. So it was amazing.
Claire, can I just ask, did your 5-a-side team have a goalie?
Yes,
yeah. He's got form for not having keepers in 5-a-side teams.
He doesn't want goalkeepers.
We had to keep her.
Oh.
So Claire, that probably told you when you turned up. That probably told you that all the girls around your age were frustrated by not having somewhere to go and play and having an outlet.
Hundreds there. I was probably one of the youngest at 11. It was under 14, but there were loads there. And it was a shame, obviously, they only picked 14 of us out of hundreds that went as well.
So after that 5-a-side, did it just expand from that and get your 11-a-side? Then you went into a league. Was the leagues formed properly by then?
Yes, so we played a number of 5-a-side, 7-a-side in the summer. And that was brilliant, because you got to meet all of the girls, all their families. It was just like a big family event, probably the same for you lads.
Yeah,
and then, September we started, first 7-a-side against Bolton. The proper men's Bolton team had a female under 14 team. So that was our first game.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So and also, when they went to under 14s, 15s and 16s, did you start to play it in a league then? Was the Liverpool League set up then, or a Merseyside, Cheshire League?
I think it was the Cheshire League we used to play in, and the Lancashire League. I think the first few were the Lancashire League. We used to play Bolton, Burnley, Preston, all of those type of teams.
So sorry, go on. It seemed to me that a lot more of the teams that were down in the men's sort of divisions, like the Championship and Division 1, were starting the girls earlier rather than the Premier League clubs.
Yeah, I can't remember when Liverpool created a team, but that was much later than Everton. Yeah, and Man United created a team. We were under 16, and they then started their team. We used to play Man United under 16.
And I think a lot of sorry guys, I've sort of taken over a little bit here asking questions, but I think a lot of the Premier League clubs started to operate girls football once they were told by the FA, and funding started to come through to put coaches in schools, to put coaches out and start to get leagues up, because each FA affiliated league then had to start up their own leagues. And that was, again, it took a couple of years for it to really take off, but it was something that FIFA and UEFA wanted.
But in those early days, was there just a lack of players as well? Because although you've just been talking about how you've got all these girls that have not been given the facilities and the opportunity to play, but surely when you start in an organised league, I mean, teams struggle all the time to get players. So given that they hadn't had the opportunity, was there enough players to form full leagues at that stage?
Oh yeah, there was about, I can't remember how many were in the league, but we play a full season, home and away games, yeah.
Yeah.
There were tons of leagues out there. I mean,
what age was it that you went to 11-a-side?
Oh, sorry.
What age was it that you went to 11-a-side from the 7-a-side game?
I was 11 and I played 11-a-side.
Okay.
I think it's changed now. It's 9-a-side, I think. But I was 11. We were straight in 11-a-side.
Yeah, I mean, back in the old 70s, 80s, when we started, lads, it was straight to 11-a-side, wasn't it? None of this 5 or 6-a-side, 7-a-side, 8-a-side, 9-a-side. It was just straight in.
5-a-side was only ever considered training when we were growing up, mate. It was all 11-a-side. But I mean, now obviously coaching with kids for everyone is, small field games. It's a very different type of setup, which I actually think is a good thing. But I think the reason I'm asking that question is that I know that when I was growing up, and again, I'm older, so when I was growing up, we're talking, 30 plus years ago when I was in my teens, at that stage, there was no girls playing football. In fact, I knew one girl that played football, and she ended up going on and playing for England. She was brilliant. But she was the only girl that I knew played football. I didn't know any other girl that played football because the opportunity was just not there. And I think you mentioned the sexist teacher earlier. I think that was probably pretty standard, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, even when I got to be a primary school teacher and I started to have a girls' team in my primary school, it was seen as something radical. And I'm like, what? Because I started to get involved then with Claire and her dad, Paul, and the girls' football. And it was like, this is what we do. And they couldn't believe it. And a couple of girls in my primary school went to play for Everton girls up to the age of 16, obviously well after Claire, but, Yeah.
Claire, so then what do you think has changed in that kind of setup? Do you think girls are now just being given more opportunities younger? Because there seems to be, it's normal. It feels normal now. It doesn't feel like there is a stigma attached to it.
I think as soon as it started getting televised, and that was just after when I started playing. I mean, there were a few times we were on TV, like the local TV stations. But for me, it was, I think, Sky Sports picking it up, and a lot of the games and the World Cups were played in big stadiums, so they filled the stadiums. Often it was giving away free tickets, but people went and were interested. And I'm a PE teacher myself, and in our school it was very much hockey, netball. We had some footballers who were a good standard, but literally the last 2 years now, every Wednesday after school we've been getting 90 kids at football every single week. Wow. And I'd say it's probably the last 2 or 3 years since probably the Super League was introduced, and girls can see it as a profession now, and they can get good money playing, sponsorship deals playing. So it's just rocketed the last few years in particular.
And I think what's helped is the success of England women's team,
definitely.
And also the success of setting up England under, I think it's 16s, 17s, 19s and 21s, or something along those lines. And once you set that structure up, I think then girls have got a target to aim for. Because Claire, didn't you get offered England trials? Am I right in that?
Yeah, I went when I was about, I think it must have been about 14 for the England under 16 who went to Loughborough. But I was, even as a kid, and they were stronger than me, faster. I mean, it was 2 years gap, and I felt there was a lot better players there than me because I just wasn't the age they were. And then I got scouted playing for Man United, and then I was picked during that game for training camp.
As you got into out of your teens and into your early 20s, where were you playing then, and what did it look like, and what was the standard like?
So when I finished Everton on 16s, we all had to go train with Everton ladies. And I remember we went to Northwich for training, and there was literally 50 women. So it was 16-year-olds coming up all the way through to women, maybe 30 up to 35. And there was a lot of people competing for 11 spaces. They did have a reserve team, but again, it was like 22 players, and they were already established. They already had the positions. They were already selected. So there was all of us, 14 of us coming up, and there was just nowhere for us to play. So we used to train, and it'd be a bit disheartening because you know that you weren't really going to get a game. And then my dad got involved when I was playing, and he became the Everton under 16 manager. So he decided to set up like a stepping stone team between Everton under 16 and the reserves, because there was like 30 odd players with no team. Well, we were training, but we weren't going to be getting in over 25, 30 old women. And so he set up a little team. That's when Darian Sorry, that's my husband.
Yeah, I'm not your husband, Claire. Let's not start them rumours on the podcast.
That's when Darren got involved, coaching. So we were called Everton A team.
Thomas was giving us a yellow card.
Yeah, so Darren got involved coaching then at that stage. So I would have been 16, 17 when he started coaching. And he's told me I'm to big him up as well.
What I want to ask is, did Darren ever talk you through the 5 fundamentals of football?
Didn't need to back then.
If he hasn't, he's going to at some stage. It's coming. Talk to everyone
That
through
must be a new theories learned in
It is.
America. I didn't know it then.
Didn't need to know it then. They just did what I asked.
Just put like 3 cones out and that was it.
He hasn't changed.
Can I just say, I need to edit the beginning of this podcast when Claire came in. I bigged you up big time on this podcast, and you've let me down.
No, Darren was a real good coach. Really positive. All the sessions were different. So every single session, you knew you were going to something different. It was creative. Just focused on different skills, different parts of the game. Yeah, it was just really good, really fun. And obviously his personality made it fun, made it laugh every week, lots of banter.
Is it the same Darren that we know?
No, I've changed.
She's talking about her husband again.
Is she? Yeah, because Darren's banter's terrible.
Yeah, I'm talking about my husband when he was coaching. Yeah, so it was, and he was really good, and the team was really strong because we'd won the league consecutive years, and we'd all just come out of Everton under 16s. So we were strong, and then that season we won the league again, we won the cup. And then I think we went within 3 leagues of Everton ladies, and then that was at the point where the people above decided they didn't want us stepping higher.
Yeah, so it was very political at that point then, because we were becoming more successful than other teams linked to Everton, and the structure of the Northwest Women's Regional League and the structure, the way it worked, it went to like National or Northern League, then National League. Yeah. We were only 3 leagues below, and that was massive. And you know, we don't want to go into politics too much, but they see that as almost a threat. Why is this team better than what we've got in the reserves? And I don't want to knock anybody there, Claire, but I think we had some really good players who wouldn't step up to reserves because of the way it was managed or coached. And again, that's just a personal preference. But we played with a style that, you know, I want to big us up here because we were brilliant. Yeah. Paul, Claire's dad, was the manager, and tactically he was excellent, and we both know our roles. So I just coached him in the week and during the game, and Paul was tactically brilliant. And there'd be times in the game where he'd change things, and we used to go up against really good teams, and the standard was excellent, really good standard. But we'd always try and play football, 2-touch, 3-touch, and it was almost like, and I don't want to say too much, it was almost like watching a Barcelona at times. It was Brazil in blue, but we were absolutely...
There's nothing better than Darren calling his coaching out and referring to it being like Barcelona, and then he's also coached Clare into saying Brazil.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I'm glad we had that meeting, Claire, beforehand. But it was almost like, you know how I want to play, and it was great because the coach is only as good as the players. We've seen that in every game. And
I know that.
Yeah, you coached me. And the players we had were superb, and everyone knew the role, and everyone was aware of the role, and the level we were playing at was good level as well. And I'm just going to touch on this. One of my greatest achievements as a coach was we played Burnley in a cup final, and we won 1-0. And the training sessions beforehand, we worked on defending corners and attacking corners. And one of the girls got the goal off a corner, and we won 1-0. And it was defending off corners was brilliant. And so when you've got a group of players like that who respond to you, as a coach, your job's easier. Yeah, it's much easier. And Claire was our captain, and she led by example. And it was just a great time to be involved in the game.
So Claire, you played for Darren all that time. Was he the thing that drove you out of football? Or?
Wasn't long after she quit.
To be honest, I quit because I injured my knee. So it tore the medial knee ligaments, and I was off work for 2 months, and I'm a PE teacher. So I remember going back and struggling with my knee. And it was at that point, and I think because of what had happened as well with the Everton team, and we changed our affiliation numbers so we could start climbing the leagues and things like that. Eventually, I don't know, I think people started to lose a bit of interest as we got older, and we didn't attract then as many good players because we had to change the name. So yeah, and then I got injured, so then I stopped playing. So yeah, and then since then, I think I joined a five-a-side team with some people I knew, which was brilliant. But again, it's just the few and far between. And then in the school I work at now, we set up this back to PE club for women who love playing sport but hate going to the gym and doing things like yoga and Zumba. You know, people who love doing netball and football, basketball. And we get like 50 women coming every week. It was on a Monday night, just to play sport like they did in school. So I was doing that quite often, and then obviously I've had 2 children now, so it's just about getting home from work, getting them sorted.
Yeah,
like still only 22.
Repeat. Oh, sorry.
He's still only 22.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
So Thomas, you've got 2 girls, and and the age range is pretty wide. What did they get exposed to football at all in school?
No, they never did football. Lucy does football as part of PE. It's on a rolling like rota, so they do different sports, and the boys and girls just get assigned to that sport for so many weeks. So she does it that way, and they've got like a sports cage where they have a game of football in the morning and stuff. She's got absolutely no interest in football. She doesn't like playing it. She likes sports and running and athletics and stuff, but she's not into football. And Lauren, who's my eldest, she's 21. There was nothing in school at all to do with football. It was boys did PE one side and the girls did it separate. And she, again, another one, she doesn't even like watching it. I don't know. I'm shocked, really.
But is that, I mean, Darren, you work, well, you and Claire both work in schools. Is that consistent unless you make an effort to make it happen? Or is it now just part of the standard offering that kids get to play any sport, whether they're male or female, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, so in the primary school, now they have what they call school sports partnerships. Claire, you'll know about these. And it's all about inclusion, making sure everyone can access them. And in primary school, it's all mixed. So boys and girls can do certain things together, which I think is great. I also think it comes down quite often to the individual person in the school, whether to push certain sports. So when I'm in my primary school, I'm always pushing for girls football, as well as other sports, because I just think there's a great outlet there that we need to push a bit more. However, I have noticed over the last 2 or 3 years in my school, in my area, that girls' football's took a bit of a dip. And I don't know whether that's a social or society thing, or whether it's just they're not interested in football at all. And that's fine. But I do think we're at a point now with girls' football and women's football where we need to take it to the next level. We've got it so far now. It needs to get pushed on again. And it's almost at the back of agendas now, and it should be at the forefront still. And it should be talked about and advertised. And maybe it is. I'm just not in the loop. But I do think it's not coming around enough because there's a lot more sports out there that they're trying to push, which is fine. So it's almost just another sport in primary school. Claire,
what's it like in your school, Claire?
Yeah, in my school we do lots of different sports. We do mainly though netball, hockey, football is our outdoor, and then dance, gym, and basketball, badminton is our indoor. I teach an all-girls secondary, so we've always done football. I've been there for 13 years. But again, it is mainly a hockey, netball type school. Yeah. But a lot of the schools now around by where I am are not playing hockey anymore because they haven't got the facility, they haven't got the interest. So football is getting a lot bigger. I teach in Southport, so in that North Sefton area, it's getting a lot better. And I was at a football tournament just before lockdown, the school tournament, and the quality of the players it was really good to watch, and probably one of the best tournaments I've seen that I've been going to in 13 years. As in, decent players who weren't just Everton, Liverpool. They played for a range of clubs, and the quality was really good with the whole team rather than just one being a good player in the team. So yeah, but the same in primary. I spoke to my little boy's 4, and he started school in September, and his head teacher used to train with Liverpool. He used to, I think, run the Liverpool ladies team, he was telling me. And he said he's been desperate to set up a primary school girls team in his school. It's just no takers.
Yeah.
They're just not interested. So
yeah, but I think the key here is to give people access. So there are lads who don't want to play football as well, and there'll be girls that don't want to play. I think the key is that everyone needs to be given the same access, and I think that's something that we will definitely be pushing hard on the podcast, and that was one of the reasons for getting you on. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about before we ask you to tell us your greatest football moments is this game plan for growth that we've had in the UK. And Daz, I know you've done a lot of work around the women's game, so you'll know this well. The figures out of that are pretty impressive in that they've doubled the number of teams, or more than doubled the number of teams in a space of 4 years. Do you think that kind of stuff is sustainable, given the way the schooling system is set up now and how access is today? Or do you think that almost feels like it's a bit of a token increase, and then actually if they stop pushing and they stop being aggressive, then actually it'll drop off again? That one's for you, Claire.
I think, yeah, with any government initiative they put in, if the funding stopped, everything seems to stop with it because they can't sustain it. So I think it has to be there. The money has to be there.
Yeah.
So I think with that is, again, it comes down to accessibility and how much funding they're willing to put forward to it. So with anything, when you put money into it and you advertise it and you get the coaches involved, you're going to have a peak. Now, like anything, it's sustaining that peak. It's making sure that peak becomes the norm, and then you peak again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, what will happen is with every sport is you'll hit a peak, and if it's not sustained, it drops back off. And once it drops back off after 5 years, people go, oh, let's put more money into the women's game, and it goes back up again. And so you're going to have peaks and troughs all the time. What you have to do is sustain it, and sustain it to a point where it can then go to another level. And so at the moment, what I see is that we've had a massive peak over the last 5 years. And if we're not careful, we're going to be on a downside now. And it's maintaining it and supporting and keeping that level is now the norm. And we've got to keep doing that. And then we'll peak it in the next 5 years. What's our next initiative now? So that one ran from, I think, 2016, 17 to 20. And so that's the 3 to 4 year program. So my question would be to the FA and the women's game is, what's the next 3 or 4 years going to look like?
That's the thing that worries me, is that it almost feels like, and I did some reading up on it because I don't know the women's game much at all, but I did some reading up on it, and it almost feels like, all right, we've done these 4 years. Now what comes next? And that worries me, because then if you pump all our money into the game and you push it that hard and then you just stop, there's no doubt that that's not going to go at the same pace, and then you're just going to see teams drop away.
And I think at grassroots, what happens, I mean, my niece plays at grassroots level under 14s, and she plays against teams and she wins 8, 9, 10-0, 10-2 every week. But some teams have 8 players and they play against 11. And those 8 or 9 girls turn up every week and get hammered. That's where we need to look at the grassroots properly, and we need to look at how we sustaining that, because no one's benefiting from that. The girls who are winning 10-0 aren't benefiting. The girls who are getting beat aren't benefiting. So it just becomes you turn up and play and no one's really bothered.
Yeah.
And then when you get challenged, and it's down to the coaches and leagues to manage that. And I don't know the answer, but I think there needs to be a discussion around it.
Yeah.
I think you can sometimes have too many teams as well at the minute, just to try and include everyone. And it's whether you want everyone included or you want the competition to be higher. But like for your niece, they need to be making sure there's little leagues in place, so there is the competition element to keep people interested. And
also, I'd be tempted to have 5-a-side leagues as well, because I think that would work, and then you'd have 11-a-side. So you might have 5 11-a-side teams, but you might have 10 5-a-side teams, and those players are still playing football to a level. They're not just being left, or they can't be bothered because it's raining that week and they're only going to get 8 players.
Yeah.
So it really needs to have that discussion.
I think that's important. The structure needs to be there.
Yeah.
All right, Claire. So one of the things that we ask everyone when they come on is, what was your greatest football moment? Now, it can be anything. It can be watching football. And as you said before, since 95, you hadn't had much to shoot. So, it can be watching football, playing football. It can be both. What are the things that you really remember? And if you say something about that and coaching, I'll fall out with you.
I'll ask him that 50 quid back then.
I'll give you 65.
Probably for me, the highlight I remember playing, I remember I was 15, I just had my appendix out and I was desperate to get back playing. And I shouldn't have been playing. I think I was within the 2 weeks time frame. And I literally played the full 90 minutes. I can't remember even the team. My dad will remember. It was a tough game, probably against like a Burnley or someone. And we were winning maybe by a goal. And the last dying seconds, they crossed it in and I just ran back and overhead kicked it off the line. Literally nearly everything. And I just remember then at the end of the game, everyone hugging me and being on top of me. And I just remember thinking, I can't believe I didn't do myself an injury doing it. But yeah.
Now, just for the record.
I can't remember if we won the league or I can't remember. I just remember it happening and everyone jumping on me. So it must have been to win the league or something. My dad's saying it's a cup semi-final.
Yeah, just to let you know, centre-halves aren't meant to do overhead kicks. Just to want to put that on record. We've had the bad history of that, Claire, over the years.
Yeah, I did that in training. It was a match, wasn't it? I did an overhead kick in training and gave one of my teammates a black eye because she went ahead of the ball. And I literally overhead kicked her in the face.
Brilliant. At least you didn't break your collarbone.
Yeah. Leave it, son, leave it.
Did you break someone's collarbone?
I broke my collarbone. Overhead kick in America and broke my collarbone. But we don't
God.
talk about the podcast, Claire.
He was showing off, Claire. That's what was happening.
Yeah, and then probably the 1995 Cup when we won. And Paul Rydock with the winning goal. That's probably the best memory, being at Wembley. When I must have been about 11. So 10. So yeah, that was probably my best moments watching Everton, and then sadly few and far between.
Yeah.
not much going on. We've got the derby on Sunday. I'll probably get battered.
Claire, don't mention it. Don't get Thomas wound up. Don't mention it.
Yeah. He's a little bit biased, Claire. I mean, I love Liverpool as well, but I mean, in comparison to him, I don't know.
I'm just straight talking. I just say what you're thinking.
No, it'll probably be about 3-0 to Liverpool, and hopefully Brilliant. You won't win the league with us and them.
I like your confidence, Claire. Thanks for that.
All right, Claire.
I'm an Evertonian. I don't know much.
Thank you very much for coming on. You've always got a platform here if you want to come on and talk about anything. Fancy getting back involved in the football, you can come up and coach us because we're relatively useless these days. Anyway, we can do it. We can do it. Yeah. Exactly. We need some help.
Claire, you don't listen anymore. Do you stop listening?
But yeah, we
appreciate paying them again.
Yeah, maybe. We appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
And we'll
see you again.
Thanks,
soon.
Claire, thanks a lot. Speak to you soon. Take care, love. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
That was brilliant. She was great.
Yeah, she's great, Claire. Great. And also, it's her mum and dad's 40th wedding anniversary.
Oh, really?
Today. So they're looking after the kids while she's come on the podcast.
So,
Paul and Carol, happy wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Okay, so let's move on to our next topic for today. And this will be a relatively quick one, but we wanted to talk about football starting again.
Hey!
Yes. So this is going out on Monday and the football is starting again on Wednesday. And there are two games. One of them, obviously, Darren is very excited about. And the other one, Thomas is very excited about. So, Daz, tell us about what's going on in the Sheffield United and Villa game.
It's a massive game for both clubs. It's the game that they got in hand of the other clubs. So if Villa win, we go to 28 points and get out of the relegation zone, which is huge. And also, because the games are thick and fast, it gives you that momentum that you hopefully can carry forward. For Sheffield United, it's all about European spots for them. And I think it's absolute brilliant that they're getting into Europe, hopefully. So they've got something to play for as well.
It's hard for Villa though, isn't it? So I looked at the table today. So you get 3 points and you go out to the drop zone. But also, if you get 4 points in the next couple of games and the other teams lose a couple of games, you could get up to 15th pretty quickly. Problem is, you've got Bournemouth, Watford, West Ham and Brighton ahead of you. Now, there's some decent teams in that. And it's going to be difficult to drag yourself out and consistently drag yourself out unless you go on a bit of a run. And the games for Aston Villa are home to Chelsea, away to Newcastle, home to Wolves, and then away to Liverpool. I mean, that's a difficult set of games.
12 points, don't see the problem.
I'm trying to work out the maths.
I was talking about this to my dad today, and we were saying Villa have got 10 games left. If we can get 14 or 15 points, that puts us on about 40 points, 38 to 40 points.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm hoping we're going to be okay. Yeah. Will we get there? It's all about injuries, I think, for us.
So then I looked at Sheffield United, and that Billy Sharp has just signed another contract as well, which I think is great news for them. They're doing well. They've been a revelation this year. The football they play is fantastic. Really good to watch. So I'm really looking forward to that game. So Daz, give us a prediction.
2-1 Villa.
Okay. Thomas, give us a prediction.
Sorry, Darren. It's going to be the opposite way around. 2-1 Sheffield United.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Daz, but it's a 1-1 draw.
I'll take that.
All right, so this is the start of what we're going to do each week from now on. We're going to predict the scores of the games, and we'll do this again on Friday's episode. So we've got a 2-1 win for Villa from Darren, a 2-1 win from Sheffield United from Thomas, and a 1-1 draw from me. So then the other game, Thomas, is the one that you're most excited about, which is
certainly is
Arsenal away to City.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell us a bit about what's going on there.
Well, both sides seem to be doing really well with injuries. Leroy Sané's back. He's back in the squad. Whether he'll get a game, I don't know. He got that really bad injury, didn't he, early on in the year? He's back, and I don't know whether he's pushing for a move, but I really like him. I think he's a quality player. So City have got him back in the team. Arsenal, I forgot his name now. Who's the Arsenal manager? I forgot his name. Arteta. Yeah, he's going back, isn't he, to face City against Guardiola. But a little fact I seen today, Arsenal haven't beat an away top 6 side since 2015.
Wow.
5 years they haven't beat anyone in the top 6 away from home. That is crazy. Arsenal look like they've got a clean bill of health. They haven't done too well on the friendlies that they've had so far. They've lost. But I'm really, really hoping that they're going to take some points off City.
Yeah, I can't see it, mate. I can't see that happening. City are well behind us. They're on 57 points.
Yeah.
Not looking great for them this year. Arsenal, their games are home to Arsenal, then Burnley, and then away to Chelsea, Newcastle, then obviously Liverpool, which is a big game, but the league will be won by then, hopefully. But I just think Arsenal look really weak. You could argue that Arteta is in probably, other than Klopp, is in the best position to go to City and get a result because he worked under them for 4 or 5 years. Said he learnt an awful lot in that time, knows how they play better than anyone else, knows a lot of their players. But I just don't think he's got the quality.
No, he hasn't. Defensively, they're not very good. I mean, they're not very good all over the pitch. They're quite good up front with Aubameyang and Lacazette. But midfield, they're quite weak. At the back, they've got David Luiz. He's always up for a mistake. They just need an improvement massively.
And they're ninth. They're ninth at the moment on 40 points. And they're 8 points off fourth as well, so they're a long way off. But their games, and I think this is a problem for them, away to City, Brighton, Southampton, and Sheffield United. So I think they get beat by Sheffield United. They get beat by Brighton because it's a crunch game for Brighton. And they get beat by City, and then possibly a win at Southampton against Southampton. I think they're going to really struggle. I think in the next couple of games they could go south.
Yeah, mid-table finish and not make Europe for them.
That'd be a terrible season. But I mean, it's not like Arteta will then be in trouble because he hasn't had long enough. But the amount of money that team have spent in recent years, they've got to do better than being ninth in the table after this many games.
Yeah, I wonder if the break is going to help the Nicholas Pepe or Pep, how you pronounce it, because they paid a lot of money for him, and he hasn't really set any houses on fire, has he, since he's come into the league?
Yeah, but I wonder how that would work, though. He hasn't played much football. He'll have done a couple of weeks back in training with the lads. I can't see it.
No.
All right, Daz, what's your prediction?
3-1 City.
Thomas?
My head's saying 4-0 Arsenal. My heart's saying 4-0 Arsenal, but my head is saying 3-0 City.
Okay. I'm going to go with 4-1 City. I think Aubameyang will score, quality footballer, and they'll make chances. The one thing that City give you is chances. They'll make chances, but I think City will just blow them away. And it could get a bit embarrassing as well. It could be more than that because City, if they're on their game, could wipe Arsenal out pretty quickly.
4-5.
Yeah. All right. So we will post those predictions on the website and on Facebook and see how well we get on.
And if anyone's following my results, I want a 10% cut if they're putting bets on.
What's 10% of nothing?
We don't condone gambling or anything, Tom. But okay. So let's get to and one of the things that was great. We got some brilliant feedback this week, and you read it in the feedback section at the start. People loving the fact that the wall of hate was back. So let's get onto a wall of hate. So this week, Thomas, who are you mostly hating?
So this week, I usually start my wall of hate by talking about the legendary status of the featured player. But this player is no legend. In fact, he's more famous for his actions off the field. He's from Huyton in Liverpool, which is known to us as Two Dogs Fighting. And he's certainly known for being one of those dogs in his career. So this week, I am mostly hating Joey Barton. I hate Joey Barton. So he's played for so many top clubs. I have no idea how he got there, but I'm going to list them. He's got Man City, Newcastle, QPR, Marseille, Burnley and Rangers. So how he got them to them clubs, I've got no idea. He got one England cap, but he probably nicked it from an England legend like Steven Gerrard. So whilst he was at Marseille, he showed his love of languages when he tried to speak French in an interview, and he literally just put an O on the end of everything that he was saying, thinking it would make him sound French. The absolute weapon. It was a brilliant car-crash interview. So he was known for his aggressive attitude more than his footballing ability. And in the last game of the season, we all know this, I remember this very well, against Man City. He started swinging punches like he was on a night out in town and he'd had too much Stella. He ended up trying to headbutt a few players while he was walking off, hoping they would retaliate. But they just looked at him and laughed, called him a weapon. City then went on to win the league with that Aguero goal. But, we remember how bad he was in that game and he got a massive ban and a massive fine. It's been reported in his career that he stubbed a cigar out in a teammate's eye. Now, two things really alarm me about this, because he's supposed to be like this supreme athlete. He's a footballer, he should be doing the right thing. What was he doing smoking in the first thing? And secondly, who does he think he is smoking cigars, Kojak? So he got his first red card of his career, which saw him getting sent off for nothing on the pitch. But at half-time, he abused the referee, foul abusive language, and he was sent off. He was sent off many more times in his career. In 2007, he was arguing outside a McDonald's in Liverpool city centre and ended up fighting and getting done for assault. And he spent 6 months in Strangeways prison, all over a Happy Meal. You all know I got a bit of stick for admiring Neil Warnock because he was the lower league's best manager. But Barton went on a furious tirade one day telling Warnock to shut it and compared him to the fictional film manager Mike Bassett. I just think there's absolutely no need for that. Where's your respect, Joey? He's a quality manager. So he's been given many suspensions by the FA and the clubs that he's worked for. So he set up a direct debit to pay all his fines. And he's helped fund the new building of the FA headquarters in London. In his career, he received 39 bookings, which is more than he's had. Again, so he's more than he's got doing after dinner speaking. So wherever he's been, so he's appeared on BBC Question Time where he had managed to upset the whole audience and the women in the country by comparing the political parties as 4 ugly women in a bar, and that UKIP are just one of these ugly women. So, to be fair to Joey, he's done some good things off the pitch. He supported some good causes and charities, such as the Tamsin Gulvin Fund. This is a charity that was set up to support people who have addiction problems and have no financial support to help them out. And the Get Hooked on Fishing campaign, which was designed to keep troubled children by encouraging them to take up fishing. So some nice stuff, but he's still a weapon. But I can't forgive him for being an absolute weapon on the pitch, fighting with your teammates, pulling your pants down and showing your ass to the Everton fans, offering your manager a straightener, and the many other things that I'm not allowed to repeat because I'm scared of getting sued. So Joey Barton, you are now on my wall of hate.
Yeah, brilliant. He is an absolute weapon. So I heard one of you, that was really good. I heard one the other day, Alan Shearer was talking about how, Alan Shearer had those 8 games at the end of the season to try and keep Newcastle up. And Joey Barton had been out and he come back and played and he got sent off for something ridiculous.
It was a tackle on Alonso.
Yeah, never. Oh yeah, it was tackle on Alonso, and never played for Shearer again.
Yeah, and they went down Newcastle. He probably helped.
Yeah, brilliant. Love that. Yeah, he lives just up the road from here. Might bump into him, Tom.
It's all right. He's on my wall of hate now.
We'll have to let him know. We'll post a picture.
He'll probably come round and see me.
Brilliant. All right. So, Daz, let's give the crowd a quiz question.
Okay, so this week's quiz type quiz question is another Who Am I? And this player grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa. They signed for an English team for $750,000 and won an FA Cup final. He was the first Scottish player to be transferred for over £1 million, and his debut was against a former club. He played in the US in the MLS, and he scored 6 international goals for his country. Who am I?
Ooh.
I know who it is.
Yeah.
Just message me, Thomas. I'll tell you if you're right.
That's a good one now. I like that. Okay, let's get that up on the Facebook, Daz, see if anyone can work that one out.
Daz, did you say he was South African and Scottish?
No. So, listen to me carefully. Do you want to do that again?
Do it again, Daz.
Nice and quick.
He grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Okay.
And he was the first Scottish player to be transferred for over $1 million, and his debut was against a former club. So you've got to be careful with the language used in that one.
Yeah, being very deliberate there, Daz. Okay, I think I need that in writing so I can...
I've got it.
Of course you have. All right, Daz, any final thoughts? I know this was one that you were passionate about, so tell us what you think.
I think it's great that 3 guys from Liverpool are talking about the women's game. I think it's massively important. I'm hoping that the next 5 years will prove how good and how big the game can go. And I just hope the FA back it and the Premier League clubs back their clubs that they've got women playing for.
Thomas?
Well, as I'm called a biased one, I hope Liverpool put a lot more money back into the Liverpool ladies team and they win promotion at the first term of asking and go back and challenge where they rightfully should be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We don't know the detail about what's gone on with the Liverpool women's team, but it definitely appears that there's been some issue there. Funding is sorely lacking, and they need to do something to fix that problem, especially when the club is so successful. Why wouldn't they invest in the women's team? And as you said earlier, Daz, they did invest in the women's team at one stage. So something's gone wrong there. And there's something in that we don't know, but it'd be great to see them getting back first time round, as you say, Thomas. Yeah. So for everyone that's listening, thank you for listening. Thank you for the feedback. We really appreciate it. It's a great way for you to get on the podcast. You see, Carl Gargan was giving us crap, so he got on here. But also make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or go and watch us on YouTube. And visit the website at www.threemeninfootball.com. Tell us what you think. We've changed it up a little bit to try and make it easier to navigate. But thanks, lads. That was a really good episode. Really enjoyed it. Really good topic to talk about as well. And we'll definitely get Claire back on at some stage in the future.
Brilliant. Thanks, lads.
See you on the next
Take
one.
care.
See you soon. Bye.